member who we are seeing now, at risk of prostate enlargement. We a member or her 20 ebitiminya prostate cancer, 5 bitimi afamu nadia obefamu.
Actually, this is not my fault.
Why? And to wada, entina midi maniche Executive Prostate Center.
Executive Prostate Center is a unique medical center where we harmonize in-depth traditional medicine with cutting-edge science and technology to cure, to treat, and to prevent diseases like prostate enlargement, prostate cancer.
Executive Prostate Center. Madame facilities no any professional medical care.
Sisi a bibia clear system no. Ye no ne so de natural into we koso afama ye.
Executive Prostate Center. My cured.
In Ghana, West Africa, the mornings are somewhat, if not for the perfect companion. What a good day to start. Another day. It always smiles knowing we are together. Ooh, what a feeling. Work is always effective with Nasco home appliances. If it not be you, then who go there? No wahala. If the sun is up, we there for your appetite. Never a dull moment to go for something chill. And me jepa, I want Nasco fear. Nasco, bring home happiness.
Welcome back. You're still watching The Point of View, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. My name is Sami. We are sitting in for a regular host, Bernard Kokuavle. The topic tonight is Galamsey. On the back of what happened on the 6th of August this year, never again should it ever happen in this country. 8 gallant Ghanaians died on their way to Obuasi for a Galamsey-related event. After this particular incident, there will be renewed calls on government to intensify the fight against illegal mining and, if possible, wipe out the practice in general. Tonight, on The Point of View, we'll speak to Dr. Kenneth Ashibe. He is the convener of the Ghana Coalition Against Illegal Mining. Alhaji Inusaf Hussein, former MP and former Minister of Lands and Natural Resources. Awolai Sewa, coordinator of the Eco-Conscious Citizen, and Elikem Kotoko, Deputy CEO of the Forestry Commission. They'll help out with the discussion we're having tonight on illegal mining or Galamsey. We are told that in the coming weeks, President John Dramani Mahama will announce a comprehensive strategy in dealing with this menace known as illegal mining or Galamsey, which is destroying the environment and killing quite a number of people. It comes on the back of a recent, news item where the IGP's task force put in place to ensure Galamsey ends came under attack somewhere in the Ashanti, where illegal miners fired arms against these armed police officers tasked by the IGP to help the fight against illegal mining. The new approach, what should it be? How should government tackle it? And should we leave politics out in the fight against illegal mining? We'll have a discussion on this matter. Gentlemen, good evening. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll start with you. On the 6th of August, the unfortunate incident, you were at that particular event when, because I saw a video of you, addressing the people until the news came up. How did you take it, first of all? Let me take it from that side before we commence.
Again, it's one of the things that really touched me so much. I think I've cried twice on air, and the first one was when my brother Komla Dumo died. The second one, again, was this particular incident at TV3 when I was recounting it. Because it comes very close. I remember when the Blue Water Guards were going to be launched. We had been invited as a coalition, and so it was myself and Senyo in Takrade, and then considering the issues of how do you do it timely and come back. I could not make it, so Senyo went, and he went on the chopper. So the likelihood that this invitation would have come, and then I would have said that, oh, you know what, this thing, if I was not working at the Ghana Chamber of Mines, and that I wanted to take the advantage of that to also go and meet some of my members, what I would have said was that, oh, I can't leave on a day before, and maybe traveling to Kumasi and driving will be a difficulty. Yeah. So, Minister, is it possible to also take this? And if there were space on today, if you were naming them, you would also be talking about that. And I wonder what will be happening to Bubune Edem and then Nuna, you know. And when I was speaking, I was seated. I went with the CEO of the Anglo Gold Ashanti. Okay. And so as we were sitting there, you know, we saw the commotion that happened earlier on between the minister, the regional minister, and the lands minister. Okay. And then periodically you would see, if you would really look, you would see the EPA CEO tap the Minister of Lands as if to reassure him. So we're wondering what was happening. But the call of the regional minister for the fire officers around started sending warning signals. Then all of a sudden, the AGA MD gets a video of a chopper that had crashed. Ouch. Because, you see, the community people, when they saw it, Wednesdays are when AGA moves its bullion. So they thought that was what had happened. Okay. So they send the video to their security people and they send to him. So he showed it to me. And we're like, because the plan was for the team from Accra to join us from the AGA office, and then we would all have driven to the site. But there was a delay. So when we were finally moving, the plan was that let's go and they will join us at the site. So at that particular point, the question was, who was on board? Yeah. We're not too sure, because the images and the video we had seen then had rendered that this thing, there's nobody you're going to pick out of that, you know. So we're sitting there wondering what was happening. You know, then Ashanti Regional Minister gave his speech and said he was leaving. Then we said, you know, this had happened. So it really took something else, you know, for me to have been able to speak the way I spoke. Yeah. Because we had heard it, and, you know, we also did not want to be spreading anything you had not confirmed. So you could not tell anybody who was sitting by you. I think the only person I spoke to was the Minerals Commission CEO, and he also, you know, got into a shock. So it really hit home hard, because for me, it reminds me of the 16th of October, 1983. As a 13-year-old boy, I was at home. My father had gone for the funeral of my grandmother, my mother's mother. And so it was only myself and my cousin and my cousin who were at home, because my little sister had gone with my father. And a policeman walks to the house and comes to tell me that, what is your name? And I mentioned my name to him. And he says, unfortunately, your father had an accident and your father is dead. I am telling you, that feeling, my house immediately became dark. And this is me, a 55-year-old boy, man. I have not recovered from that. So I can feel what the children of these 8 are feeling. I can tell you the pain my mother went through. I don't know, my big sister, I don't know whether my big sister became my mother and my mother became my father. But those 2 women, you know, the things they had to go through, you know. This is a nurse who we would go to Kaneshi Market. My mother would go to Kaneshi Market, carry charcoal on her head, you know, just to be able to see us through. I remember when the incident happened, there was an auntie of mine who came and I asked, because my father was supposed to take me to St. Augustine's and said he was going and he will be back. You know, we had gone to school on the 14th of October. That's when school had reopened. And I asked my auntie, how was I going to go to school? He said, your father is dead. You're asking how you're going to go to school. You know, so this thing we're talking about, you know, that thing that I still do, and I wonder, what would my father be saying if he were alive? You know, so it's not something that goes away. So it's something that bites very, very deep, you know, and it's not an easy thing for a mother who, you know, to lose the only son, you know, for, you know, so for all the 8, you know, there's a young lady who's just giving birth, you know, and he's lost his husband, you know, and this is all because there are some, and please let's stop calling it Galamsey. These are environmental crimes that are being committed by environmental criminals. And we need to call it like that. And these people, all they were going to do was that, how do we ensure the mining is done and done responsibly? And they lost their life in the quest of doing it. So for me, it's still something that draws, and reminds me of how dark my house became immediately that thing happened on the 16th of October 1983.
Mm-hmm. Alekem, the general rule, the general argument is that the best way to honor the fallen aides, as we would describe them, is for government to go all out and end this practice of illegal mining or galamsey or environmental crime, as Doc has said. And the Forestry Commission has a role to play in all this.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. On that fateful day, I recall the atmosphere there. And I recall as well, on my way to the venue, I had a call asking if I was okay because there was an accident. And so I thought it was a car crash. Then my answer was that, no, if there was a car crash, then it was behind me because the road ahead of me was still clear.
Okay.
Only for me to reach the venue. And I'm also the deputy national organizer. For one of our regional organizers to approach me, and he was shivering. I was shocked. And this is one gentleman, I can't mention his name, who is very tough. And he came to hold me and he was just shivering. Have you heard? And what is it? I said, oh. Then he mentioned the names that had perished. So I just, when news like that hits you, you are in some state of self-denial.
Yeah.
You immediately begin to imagine the people, their faces and all that. And it is one reason why I find it difficult to look at the corpse of people I know when they pass, because I want to have a memory of your last time alive. And eventually, it was true. And so then you ask yourself, why did they die? What happened? Was it avoidable? But what was the cause? Even though we may all want to look at whether it was a technical issue, the helicopter or what have you, they were on a certain mission of state. And that mission was because the environmental criminals were involved in an act that was an affront to our healthy living. And it therefore gives you that sense of urgency to now know that even if we thought we were fighting it and we were even commended for the effort we had put in the past, we now need to do more, because we are losing too many fine brains to the dastard act by certain callous people who are in an enterprise to just milk the state to make money for themselves. And so, yes, government may have done a lot more in the past, especially in these few months, in terms of its fight, when there's that political will and the enforcement. And you see, this concern, however, can only be approached with, it's multifaceted. For instance, you in the media play a very critical role. The media are part of the watchers. You are part of the security men. You are also watching, trying to, and so some of your guys, Erastus Osari, don't call, etc. Our traditional authorities also play a major role, because there's no mining done in vacuum. And you know how our land tenure system is. And so if we get a serious buy-in by our traditional authorities, it means that they can also stand their grounds to exert some authority on saying no to this or that. Outside of this jurisdiction, we're having a conversation outside about how somewhere in, is it Lolobi or Santrogofi, they had put some posters there warning people that don't come and do mining here if it won't be responsible.
But not every community will do that.
Not every community will do that. But you see, when you get it wrong from the very get-go, that is where you continue to get it wrong. And therefore, it means that it will require a lot of effort now to be able to draw back or to get back all of this.
Is it not too late?
It can never be too late. For instance, I have been saying that, you see, you need to blend both short and long-term approaches to this. Give you an example. The purpose of education is to solve societal problems or reform. So our education even is standardized rather than being customized, right? And these are long-term approaches maybe. So the problems that are in Western region are different from the problems in Eastern region or Volta region. But our education says everybody at basic level must learn this, must all learn this, and must all learn that. How about even if we are having clubs? Should we not now be saying that, okay, when we have a Red Cross in the Volta region, we should have forest clubs in Western region, because that will play a major impact on the kind of poems and recitals they will learn. These are long-term. But the political will that the president has demonstrated, that he frowns on this. He is not against responsible mining, but he's against irresponsible mining. He's not against mining, but he's against irresponsible mining. Then there's that enforcement and the will of the institutions. And it is why it is a great loss to Ghana. Again, the late, sad to say today, that the late Dr. Omani Boama was one of those that the sector minister, Honorable Emmanuel Makofi-Boa, could rely on, that he was ready to help and fight this battle. Because the scourge, Dr. Omani, being a medical doctor, also understood well the cycle of how it continues and eventually becomes a burden on our health budget, from the health implications on the people, how our water bodies are compromised, how we need to find a way to restore that water back, the soil quality, food, crops, etc. And this is somebody who, unfortunately, we've just lost. You can take them one by one, but the main concern now is for us to see how best. I am also aware that there's been information going around that we maybe have to, the president would soon come up with very tougher decisions to be rolled out on what to do. I would not be surprised if it includes even a repeal of the LI 2462 because drastic measures required.
Doc and his group have made that call several times, among others.
Exactly. And so it's a clarion call on all of us. But you see, it doesn't take you and myself or him just sitting here to make clarion call. These people who are engaged in this enterprise, excuse me to say, are largely heartless. And they just do not care about what words you come and put out here. But there must be some disincentive measures taken that will be very punitive enough. And at Forestry Commission, we are not a fully weaponized or clothed institution in order to battle this. That is one other side many people forget. So always the entire blame often is laid at our doorstep to make, but it's because some do not know that forestry, when you go to our neighboring countries, for instance, their forestry commissions are usually a detachment of the military.
Okay.
But in Ghana, that is not the case. We are civilians who have been asked to, in a way they call it pakpatu, you are given a pakpatu or a hunting gun to go and fight people who are wielding sophisticated weapons. So there's the need for a stronger and tougher collaboration between the necessary stakeholders, the Minerals Commission, Forestry Commission, or the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, National Security, the Ministry of the Interior, and the military as well. And that is why I was saying that our traditional authorities play a major role. Yeah. We cannot do all of this and downplay their relevance. Okay. The media play a very critical role as well too, because you are the watchers who will constantly be reporting on this, naming and shaming, amongst other things. So it is very multifaceted. But I must say that there is that commitment and willingness to do so. We only need to intensify.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Yes. Doc, I'll come back to you again, but let me go on Zoom and speak to Alhaji Inusa Fuseni, former Member of Parliament and former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, to also get his take on this approach that we are told that government will soon launch in dealing with this menace of illegal money. Alhaji, good evening. Thank you very much for your time.
Well, your line is not stable, and I hope that you can hear me.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. So let me say good evening to Dr. Ken Asibi and the Deputy Director of the Forestry Commission, our good friend, the Deputy National Organizer.
Yeah. Alhaji.
And to say good evening to yourself. You're sitting in for Bernard Avile.
Thank you.
And, I wish you well.
Thank you, Alhaji.
You see, what is happening to us in Ghana is a very serious matter. The fact, again, that this matter has claimed the lives of our promising young politicians should get everybody worried and concerned. In fact, what happened on the 6th of August, the extent of the pain, the grief that engulfed this country has never been experienced before. So you will see that from the 6th up to last week Friday, all the activities that came out of the accident, and especially the flying of half marks, the opening of the book of condolence, the laying of flowers at the Flagstaff House, and all the DNA and everything was an attempt by us as a people, as a country, to bring a closure to this disastrous and catastrophic event, accident or incident. It defies understanding. It defies reasoning. It's shocking to the bone and challenges our collective resolve to work harder. It is the ultimate sacrifice of any public officer who was elected to serve this country, to lay down his life for the benefit of the country. That is the ultimate sacrifice. That's why they are called gallant men. And that's why they are called heroes. It's just like a young man being drafted into the army in a country at war, losing his life. That's heroes. It's just like a young man being drafted into the army. They go through pain. Anybody who has lost a loved one in those circumstances can identify with the pains that the family, the surviving family of these 8 gallant men are going through. And like China Achebe said, no sympathizer can ever feel the full injury of the pains that they are going through. So, like we say in Ghana, may their deaths be meaningful. May it spur us on to do more, to uphold what they elected as leaders to fight for in this country. And I also agree with Ken when he says that they were environmental stewards. They went, or they were on a mission to teach the people of Obuasi that there is a way to mine responsibly and sustainably. That a license to mine should not be interpreted as a license to engage in impunity. That all of us have a duty to ensure environmental sustainability in our attempt to look for gold or other minerals in our soil. So for us, an honor to their lasting memory is to ensure that we work hard, harder than before, to get the people who have decided that they will mine the soils for the ore, to do that in an environmentally friendly manner and to do that sustainably. That will be a lasting tribute to their name. So within the larger context of what they were going to Obuasi to do was to deal with the menace of illegal mining in a way that was going to be acceptable, or that is acceptable, in a way that is responsible, in a way that is sustainable, and in a way that is tolerable. That was what they were on their way to Obuasi to do.
All right, okay. Let's still stay on Zoom and let's speak to Aula Sewa. Also take her initial comments on this. Aula, thank you very much for your time. The conversation is that government in the coming weeks will announce a new strategy or roll out a series of strategies to deal with this matter. What should the approach be? Should it be different from what we already know?
Good evening. The line is very unstable, so I couldn't hear you too well. I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Well, good evening to you. Good evening to my brothers in the studio and my brother on Zoom. And to add to what has been said, I would just say that there have been too many deaths and enough is enough. I remember the children who are falling into pits and drowned, the cries of the parents, the mothers who carried them for 9 months, the pain they would feel that irresponsible criminals, as my brother Ken calls them, I call them environmental terrorists, have dug pits, left them uncovered for children to fall in and drown. Look at their pain. Then I also recall the 2 police officers who were chasing illegal miners on the riverbeds and who lost their lives. They drowned. People's children or sons, people's husbands, the children. Look at the pain they have also gone through. And it goes on and on. And then we go to the 8 who also lost their lives. Enough is enough. Too many families have been ripped apart. My heart goes out to the spouses, the children. 8 families have been ripped apart. So it has started with the children. It has gone on and on. So the time has come to say enough is enough. Too many people have died through the irresponsible acts of people who have no concern for anybody else. And I think we should look at what is happening as an act of criminality and deal with them as environmental terrorists. We know that people need a livelihood, which is totally acceptable. But you can't say that because you want to make money, you don't care about other people. We are looking at, for example, the peasant farmers who are at the risk of losing their livelihood, 2.5 million of them, because of the irresponsible manner in which people are mining. We are looking at the fishermen who have lost their livelihoods. And then we are looking at the fact that we are all being poisoned. We are all being poisoned. Look at the river bodies. We are being poisoned. And even when the water is clear, there's no guarantee that it's safe because Ghana water does not remove the toxins. Konfanoche Teaching Hospital has told us that kidney-related cases have gone up 4-fold. So there's an existential threat going on. We are being poisoned. Our water is being poisoned. It has affected the farms because what we think is used to, water the farmlands. So there's an existential threat, and maybe there have been too many deaths, and the time has come to deal with it robustly, to say enough is enough. No more families should have to suffer the pain that, the most recent pain of the 8 families. And let's put an end to this irresponsible mining. And as my brother added, even when you've got a license, if you go outside the parameters of your license, you are engaged in illegal mining. The fact that you have a license doesn't permit you to mine anyhow. You have to go according to the parameters of your license. And if I might add that my initial thoughts are also that we have to look at the fact that no amount of gold, no amount of oil, no amount of money can replace the need for clean water for our forests and for our bees. So we need to balance what is going on. I've been very upset to hear very recently in Yao Chrome that licenses have been granted and persons were coming to cocoa farms, people who have toiled. You know how long it takes for cocoa to bear fruit, and then you are just coming, you have got licenses. I don't think they got anything from the EPA, but they did have, whether it was a community mining license or whatever. And then you want to come and mine. So who gives these licenses? So they should be entrenched in the cooperative mining license, the right of communities to reject mining if they are farming communities and they are very happy with their farming and they do not want any mining in their locality. Thank you.
Ola, thank you. Thank you very much. You're still watching Point of View coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at the new approach government intends to adopt. How should it be? What should be the strategy? And how do we deal decisively with this issue of illegal mining, also known as Galamsey?
Imagine walking into a secure environment you call your own, a home where you are in charge of your own security. But while you dream of a brighter future, shadows could be lurking at your doorsteps and windows. With real-time alerts and a professional response team ready to act, your home is protected around the clock, whether you're away or asleep. Don't wait for safety. Create it. Installed by professionals, our systems integrate seamlessly into your home, guarding every nook and cranny. And with our rent-to-own plan, this unmatched security comes with no burdensome upfront cost. Enjoy your safety, payment at your own pace, and peace of mind. Plus, our theft guarantee protection ensures you're covered in case of any loss, giving you even more peace of mind. Secure your home with Home Shield. Make peaceful sleep a habit, knowing we stand guard. Response 1, protecting your world 24/7.
Remember who we are singing now. At risk of prostate enlargement. Uyi emema oha. 20 ebitimi prostate cancer. 5 bitimi afamu na dia obefamu.
Actually, this is not my fault.
And to wada, entina midi manichi Executive Prostate Center.
Executive Prostate Center is a unique medical center where we harmonize in-depth traditional medicine with cutting-edge science and technology to cure, to treat, and to prevent diseases like prostate enlargement, prostate cancer.
Executive Prostate Center. Madame home facilities no any professional medical care.
Sisi a bibia clear our system no. Ye nro ne so de natural. Into we koso afa ma ye.
Executive Prostate Center. My cured.
You're welcome back. You're still watching The Point of View, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. The Point of View, we bring with the right guest, the right topic, and the discussion that matters most to you. We're talking about Galamsey or illegal mining. We're sure we've seen what happened on the back of the 6th of August incident. There will be renewed calls for government to intensify the fight against illegal mining or Galamsey and how it's causing major destruction in the environment. Dr. Kenashibe believes that we shouldn't call them Galamsey or illegal, we should call them environmental criminals. And a lot of people agree because this kind of destruction they cause to the environment is not something that can be left of the home. Doc, I come back to you again. The government and the president in the coming weeks is expected to announce new strategies to deal with it. In the past, we've seen strategies, but it didn't work. What should the new approach be?
Well, thank you very much. So we had a meeting, we had written to the minister that we wanted to meet, the president, that we wanted to meet him. And he had asked that the minister met us first and then send a report to him. I'm pretty sure the minister would have done that. And in that meeting, we had enumerated a few things that needed to be done. And we're just hoping. And so, Mr. President, we are waiting for that meeting back with you to be able to do this. But again, you need to be decisive about this. The only person who can resolve this problem for us is the president. The only president who can solve this problem is you. You are a president in your first tenure, there was Galamsey. You went home, sat back and saw your predecessor also come and take it, start well and fail abysmally. And you joined us last year with all the noises about trying to resolve this. Fortunately for you, you did not have to have a lot of people, fund your presidency as much as others had done, and so you don't owe too many things. Another thing is that you don't have another term to run, so you have a legacy to leave. You have stated that you want to leave that legacy, Mr. President. I can't speak it in your Gonja language, but you are the only one who can solve this problem for us. Unfortunately, you don't have 3.5 years. You have 1.5 years max to go. Because when people start clamoring for your position, everything else will be thrown to the dogs. And I believe that some of the things you have done shows that you have the will to be able to do it. we need to support you to do it. So let's come to the solutions. The first thing is to deal with the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is the politically exposed person who are involved in this. I will ask why it's on Zoom. He tells you a very famous quotation that the firefighters are the arsonists. The people we have chosen to solve our problems for us, around the president, around the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, are the people themselves who are involved in it. So the president should deal. And I think that one of the things, again, I draw a paradox. When I asked the former president in Koforidua about what he was doing about Akunta Mine, he looked me in the face and everybody else and said that Akunta Mine was not involved in Galamsey as we speak. But under this presidency, at least we see one new thing, that the MDC organizer, the national organizer, the NDC third national vice president have been pointed out by the AG to investigate them. Yeah. Unfortunately, Iyoko, we've not heard anything from you. So, Mr. President, you should be asking that Iyoko, just as they did to Akunta Mine, they should arrest these two gentlemen and do the investigations. Mr. President, Akunta Mine, since we had that arrest that was done and we got some parliamentarians go to sit down and on the floor and all of that, we're not seeing what has happened to Akunta Mine. Akunta Mine, he and his other directors should be dragged to court. Professor Frimpong Boateng's document has a plethora of politically exposed persons who are involved in Galamsey who we have not seen anything about. So you need to deal with that. The NDC MP for our win, his chiefs have accused him of being involved in Galamsey. He says it's not true. We have petitioned His Excellency the President. We've not heard, beyond you acknowledging receipt, we've not heard anything that you've done. You actually have seen, and we also petitioned the Speaker of Parliament. But unfortunately, what we have seen is that he has been appointed as the deputy leader of a very influential parliamentary committee, the Committee on Defense. And so he will be privy to a lot of security briefs. And this is somebody who is a person of interest. And so that person needs to be dealt with, at least investigated. We also have the NDC constituency chairperson for Axim, who has been accused also of being involved in Galamsey. You know, we've not seen anything. The NDC constituency chairperson for Dunko as well has been involved in that. And so we are people within. If you take the Akunta Mining, you take the issues around Professor Frimpong Boateng, a lot of MPP people involved in it, they have to be dealt with. You then look into, some of these people I've mentioned in this current party too, who are also have to be dealt with. So the first thing to do is that it should not matter who us as God. They should be dealt with. The politically exposed persons, they all should be dealt with. The second bit are the very influential people, very rich people. And you know what His Excellency the President said last year in October as candidate Mahama? He says that to deal with Galamsey, we need to go after the kingpins. So companies like Heritage Imperial, who were giving prospecting licenses and had, a number of excavators in the forest reserves, and they had people in power who were their lawyers and all of that, and because of that, they were not touched. We need to go after them. So that has to happen. Now, after you've dealt with the politically exposed people, now we need to start looking at the people who represent the president in the districts and in the regions. Yeah. The president has given all MMDC, DCs and MCs a KPI of Galamsey. So after this death of the 8 gallant ones, what we should not be saying is that anywhere that there's Galamsey happening, what should happen is that DC immediately should be sacked. Let me give you a typical example. So the DC in the Mansour area, for example, where that attack happened, then this DC comes and is interviewed by one of the media houses. Then he tells us that the place the police people had gone to, and again the police people too, now there's NIMOS. If they are going for the operations, they should stop the solo operations. They should go as NIMOS, so that they can go together. But then you come and the police people have gone and they are being attacked. You don't complain about the fact that these are police people who, some of them, they had stones, injured and all of that. You don't complain. Then you come and say that the police, where the policemen had gone, where they are at, is not a Galamsey site. However, the people were taking sand to go and fill. We have about 2 excavators there digging deep holes. How are you going to fill that back when that is done? Then he tells us another one that exposes his competence, that because there was no washing there,
Who told him that in every mining, processing of the ore is done at the mining site? Who told him that? And he thinks we are so gullible, we believe that. And then he forgets that as MC, as chairperson of the security committee and the mining committee, when it comes to sand winning in Ghana, you need a permit. Let's ask him whether those people who he claims erroneously were dealing with sand winning. So that's why immediately this particular DC should be dismissed. I'm surprised the Minister of Local Government is still having him as put, and he should be interdicted. We should look at his core records between himself and all of the people, that green tipper truck that we saw there, those 2 excavators that were also. Let's look at the relationships with them.
You think he's compromised?
Oh, so it should be investigated. At least I know for sure that he's demonstrated that he's not competent enough to be a representative of the president. But I think that he's currently a suspicious character who should be investigated. Because how is he telling us, everybody, that this case, I have asked that investigations to be done, but then he now says he's cleared the people and that they were not involved in mining. So immediately, so DCs that have these issues happening in their communities, immediately they should be dismissed. They should also be investigated. And you see, when 9/11 happened in the States, immediately the money laundering, regime was strengthened, and the link between money laundering and terrorism was strengthened. So now our anti-money laundering laws should not be looking at terrorism. The terrorism they should be looking at exactly is what the IGP calls activities of illegal mining. So let's find out the monies that are flowing. Who are the people who are importing these excavators? Who are the people who go to bail these environmental criminals when they are arrested? And let's start looking at the monies that are flowing in. So that ought to be done. And it should not only be the DCs and MCs. The police commanders, I might leave the regional police commanders out, but the divisional commanders in those areas, the district commanders in those, the station commanders close. How is it that the police commander there, did not see what has happened and he had to take a team from Accra to come? So one of the things I would postulate should happen is that police commanders, DCs, MCs, and also I'm hoping that this particular operation, it was led by intelligence from the NIB. Otherwise, the NIB people should also be called in. I completely agree with my brother when he talks about weaponizing the Forestry Commission. We talk about all the deaths that have happened. Let him tell you how many Forestry Commission people have died. In this thing that we claim that we've reclaimed some of the forest, one of the places that they reclaimed, a Forestry Commission people went there again, and he was hugged. The gentleman had to spend, I don't even know whether he's currently been discharged, spend time in Komfuanochi. So we need to militarize the Forestry Commission so that they are permanently stated there. Because you see, one of the biggest challenges now that we're facing with the illegality is that now they are importing mercenaries from the sub-region. And they are coming in and they are providing them security. So before you get to the where they are doing their illegality, these people have barriers that they have put in there. So they won't allow you to go there. And you find out that when you go, all of them, they're speaking foreign languages. So the people in the community they beat up 2 journalists, one of your colleagues, in the presence of the police, because the police were outnumbered and outgunned. They also beat up of Inshira in the presence of the police. They had outnumbered them, they had outgunned the police. In the previous government, there was a time when the Eastern Regional Minister, they had gone for an operation. When they got there with 34 officers, they had to retreat because the number of people they saw and the level of weaponry. So currently, Mr. President, to protect your presidency itself, you need to pay attention to this, because we've seen it in Mali. It was, the conflict around these resources that led to the coup. You see the issues in Boko Haram. You see the Liberia, the Sierra Leone one. So that too much of the evidence that will show that we need to deal with this as a national security crisis. And it ought to be dealt with. Another thing that we've been talking about is the state of emergency. I think it's important that the state of emergency, and again, we're not saying state of emergency in the whole of the country, not even the whole of the district. This particular community where this thing is happening, declare a state of emergency. Last time I went to, last Friday, I was in Takwa and drove from Takwa to Obuasi. If you do the Wasai Kropon Road, all the way through Anyamfuri, through Dunkwa, on Dunkwa, on the bridge, I could see people, Chamfans, still sitting on the Ofin River in Dunkwa. So that river, for example, now there's no life on it. So if you declare a state of emergency over that river and tell nobody should go into that water, so that you give special powers to the police, the Forestry Commission, to be able to deal with these people. Again, another example of in the UK, you remember that when they had these issues with the route, they set up special courts. In 24 hours, when you are arrested, you are taken to court, prosecuted, and jailed. We should come to that particular time again where we deal with that. How on earth is that after we had the 8 people die? You know, currently the coalition will serve on the Nemos, so we get some of the information. There was an arrest that was made of 9 Chinese people. You know where they took them to? They didn't take them to the police. They took them to immigration. So, my plea to you, Honorable Muntaka, your colleague had died. The only thing you can do for him is to reverse that obnoxious policy you have. That says that instead of Act 995, that says that if anybody is arrested, Ghanaian, foreigner, the foreigners, you prosecute them, you jail them after that before you deport them.
Okay.
You cannot say we should continue the way we're doing.
But again, will a state of emergency and the repeal of this LI help address this issue in any way?
That alone in itself may not be the ultimate solution to the problem. And just a quick one with what Doctor was saying. You know, at a point I got confused whether he wants the people investigated or dismissed outright. When people are found out to have been either suspected to be complicit in any way, the first thing that ought to be done is an investigation conducted. Then a conclusion be done. If not, we are almost pronouncing them guilty until they prove otherwise. But with reference to what you're saying, like I said, there's no one solution that fits all. But all of this will contribute to being able to nip this in the bud or bring it down to a very appreciable level. Currently, we may tap ourselves in the back, like he even did to government some time ago, that government is doing well. But it's because he still expects that, look, there's so much hope in the regime that it is only you who can, and that was contained in his statement. It is only you as president who can do it. And it is only you as President Mahama in particular who can solve this. So there's a need for us to weigh and look at all of this. If the president decides today that a state of emergency is the way to go, I'll be all for it. Reason being that he is the president and receives more regular briefing than I even do, than you or even he sitting here. We may get some briefing from one side, which may not necessarily be always the case. But like he even stated clearly, it's not a nationwide state of emergency they are talking of, about some of these critical places where there's particular attention that needs to be given in order for even the people over there to know that we are zooming in on you. If I had my way, I would even say, look, we have even the military, like we were saying. If we need to deploy some of them even over
But in the past, we deployed the military. We had Operation Halt, Operation Vanguard.
It is the deployment and then giving them names and all that makes it fanciful. You get my point. It is one thing just trying to play to the gallery for fanciful Operation Halt, Operation this Vanguard, and that. Yeah. Look, if we have to deploy them permanently to be there to do so, let's do so.
But can we sustain it?
Why can't we sustain it?
Sustaining a military person in the bush for a number of weeks,
everything comes at a cost anyways. I mean, mind you, one would say, well, if you want to make reference to peacekeeping, etc., that comes with UN, etc. But this is a matter of national security threat to all of us, to our livelihood, to the clean water we drink, to our environment. And so that is why I will not be surprised the kind of robust measures government or the president will be rolling out in order to ensure. And this is not because the particular people involved were very, very close to him, but it is the gravitas of these. Look at Dr. Omani Boama, very fine-brained gentleman. I have known him as a student leader way back in 2007. Dr. Murtala Mohammed, another fine socialist and committed Ghanaian. Then Dr. Samuel Sapon, who's been through the mill, and look at that. Then the Alhaji Muniru and Comrade Samuel Abuaji and the other three. I mean, these are people, enough is just enough. And this is a time, and I can say confidently that till date, the president has a goodwill of the people, the mandate given him in his first year. And so whatever decisions he will take, I know he's very convinced he will take very decisive decisions at this point.
The Forestry Commission worried that we are not winning this fight. The commission worried.
We are not that particular, but we are concerned. The reason being that, I mean, if all this is nipped in the bud, it means we also have peace and we will not have our staff in harm's way. Like I said in my earlier submission, we are not a weaponized or militarized institution, so we are holding...
Will you advocate for same?
Yes, I would advocate for same, because that would mean bring some sanity and peace to the place, because like some of our staff who are found in harm's way and dealt with by these mercenaries, these are largely not even Ghanaians, so they conduct themselves in any way, and like you said, the kind of barriers they mount and accessibility amongst other things. So when you try to even approach set and you are outnumbered, what do? It always turns confrontational, and without the assistance of these other state security agencies, the Forestry Commission would at all not be able to do anything. And looking at how this is going, I know that the president is convinced and understands that, look, the battle at hand is a war.
Yeah.
You get my point. The battle at hand is war. It's not about trying to, and if you look back at some steps President Mahama has taken in the past weeks and months, or since he took over office, this is a man who is very decisive. This is a man who is very focused on what he wants to do. And it is the reason why I am very convinced that whatever programs will be rolled out in collaboration with the ministry and all the needed agencies will be a very robust one aimed at ensuring that never should a single life be lost again for the reckless conduct of an individual or greedy people who are engaged in an enterprise that inures to their benefits alone. And you cannot say that you want to make money and you're polluting our body, you are destroying our environment, our food crop yield is going down, the main cocoa and all of that, and we should look on. So this requires and it is why I am very saddened that somebody like Dr. Omani Buama, who is very forthright in terms of fighting this battle, has to go down in the line of duty. Yeah.
Let's go back to Zoom and speak to Alhaji Yusuf Hussein. Alhaji, we started this fight since 2017. I remember it very well, like yesterday. To date, we are unable to win the war. The approach, many people have said that it should be a different strategy, and the president, we are told in the coming weeks, is expected to announce the new strategy to deal with it. What difference should we do from what we started since 2017? Alhaji, I'll be glad if you unmute.
Hello, your line is not very good, but I believe that you are asking what new strategies we should adapt
exactly my question,
to fight the menace.
Exactly my question, sir.
Good. First of all, we must all acknowledge the fact that we are dealing with a social phenomenon. Between 2 million and 2.5 million people are engaged in small-scale mining. Out of this number, more than 60% are doing it illegally. And of the remaining 40%, some are licensed miners, but their activities can be described as illegal because they are destroying the environment. They are not mining in accordance with the terms of their license. Now, so if you look at this social phenomenon carefully, it will lead you to an understanding that you have to use a combination of tools to be able to fight this illegal small-scale mining. Admittedly, because governments come into office, and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has come into office on an oath sworn on the Bible to uphold the laws of this country. So the first duty call on His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is to uphold and enforce the laws of this country. So the use of law and order to deal with the canker is the primary attempt or responsibility of government. But law and order alone will not suffice in this fight against this canker, because the state cannot be present anywhere or everywhere that this illegal activity is taking place. So you need to recruit members of the communities where mining takes place. I understand and know that some members of the communities where illegal mining takes place have joined the bandwagon and are doing illegal mining.
Yeah.
But there are those in the community who are against the illegal or Galamsey, just call it by what we all know it. But they are those who are afraid to talk and they lack the capacity to fight those engaged in the illegal small-scale miners. Those should be the allies of the government and by extension the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to fight this canker. Those should be the ears and the eyes of law enforcement agencies acting through the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to deal with this canker. So you need stakeholders. You need the chiefs, because there's no land in Ghana that has no owner. No Galamseya, no matter the amount of weapons he has, can move onto any land in this country and start despoiling the environment and damaging the land, the lands of the area. No person can do that. So our chiefs, who are the custodians of these lands, are stakeholders in this fight against illegal small-scale mining. If they stand on the side of government, the fight will be won. And it will be won simply by an edict. Nobody can be allowed to mine in the areas where the traditional authorities have jurisdiction unless they are satisfied that those persons have, one, the license to mine, and two, they are mining in a responsible and sustainable manner. Three, the district chief executives and the local government authorities are veritable stakeholders in this fight, because the district chief executive is the highest political authority within the district where he or she presides. And I have said it time and again that the president must give these district chief executives KPIs, and an important KPI is that if illegal activity is recorded in any district, that district chief executive will be held responsible. And the president must open his doors directly to the chief executives to report to them, because I have reasons to believe that there are political actors who are engaged in this small-scale mining and perpetuating it. So until the district chief executives are assured that they have the backing of the president in fighting the illegal small-scale mining, their efforts will come to naught. Frimpong Boaten's report is a case in point. 4, we must teach the people that there's a way, an acceptable way to mine, because of the pull and push factors in this small-scale mining menace. Small-scale mining and illegal mining went out of the roof because of 2 reasons. 1, the lack of employment. 2, the price of gold. Now, government will not be able to deal with the issue of employment in the short term. Gold prices too are continuing to rise. So what do? You create a mechanism where the people who want to mine can mine, license them to mine, and ensure that in their mining activities, they mine in accordance with the license that have been granted to them. And ensure, like the Gold Board is doing, that the benefits of the mining come to the state. Because it will be a moral hazard if the destruction of the environment gives the state no benefit. The state will be required to use resources which it will have used elsewhere in building the hospitals, in building the roads, in providing clean water to remediate the destruction of the illegal miners, when in fact the mining has not brought any benefit to the state. So it should be a combination of things. I mean, you cannot have prisons in Ghana that will contain the 2 or more than 1 million people, even if arrested, who will be in jail. So we must create a platform. And many countries have done it. Peru has done it. South Africa is doing it. Even Sudan is doing it. Create a platform where you motivate the people who want to mine in a responsible manner, so that you can deal with the outliers, those who don't want to conform with the law. If we are able to aggregate or use this cocktail of measures, we should be able to mitigate and abate the dangers of small-scale mining. We are all united and agreed upon the dangers. In fact, a few years ago, the EU warned Ghana that our cocoa was missing the
international market mark.
The CFC test. That is a test that shows whether the phytosanitary conditions, that our cocoa was not meeting the phytosanitary conditions established by the EU, and that we risk being banned from exporting our cocoa to the EU. That threat strikes at the foundation of our economic activities as a country. Many women, pregnant women, are giving birth to born babies. That is compromising the health of the pregnant women, and also dealing a fatal blow to the future generations who will take over from us. And so we have a responsibility, and that responsibility should be a collective responsibility of all of us, because we are the environment, and we have a duty to protect same.
Alaj, point well noted. Let me go to Awola Sewa to also get her thought on this new approach that government intends to adopt in dealing with this matter. Since 2017, several strategies have been put in place. The government says it will roll out a new policy or a new strategy in dealing with this. Awola Sewa, you think this new approach should be something that will help win this fight against illegal mining, or as Dr. Ashigbe will call it, environmental crime against the society? And what should be the approach? What should be the strategy, different from what we've seen previously?
Thank you very much. As has been said already, the line isn't very good, but I'll answer as best as I can. I would have thought that after watching Poison for Gold, we'd all understand the existential threat we face. Even in wartime, when you poison the source of water, it's a war crime. But maybe you look at the strategy. I think my brother Ken and my brother Putina said what has to be said. I just want to add that we need to strengthen communities because, as was rightly said, the government cannot be everywhere. I believe there should be a state of emergency. But even with a state of emergency, you need to strengthen communities. But how are we strengthening communities? Let me give you a couple of examples. You have at Tronsu, for example, in the Western North region, where the community took their call to be active citizens seriously, and they were protecting their environment from illegal mining and the Atronsu stream, which is the only source of drinking water in the area. Miners came, some of them plain illegal, but others brandishing a community mining license. And as we all know, even if you have a license, you have to go according to the parameters of your license, or you're involved in illegal mining. They went to the police. They did everything that could be done. I myself contacted the police on a number of occasions. And then on Farmers' Day, 5 of the Atronsu community members were arrested. And they spent 5 nights in custody. These are people who were trying to protect their stream and protect their community. They are cocoa farmers, and one of them was also a teacher. And they were accused by the police of burning 2 excavators, which were being used to pollute the water bodies. And funnily enough, or ironically, they were arrested on Farmers' Day. So if you want to strengthen communities, what is actually happening is that the communities feel they are being intimidated. The law enforcement, those who are sometimes complicit, intimidate the community so that they cannot even defend themselves against the environmental terrorism going on. We look at what happened in Asemkrom, the same thing. The community effected a citizen's arrest of illegal miners. In the end, the persons who were charged were the community members. Then you have a very good example in Jema. That's another area where, in this case, they have resisted all forms of illegal mining in their area. They have an organization called JAGA, that is Jema against advocacy against Galamsey. And they, with the support of their chief, because as has been rightly said, if the chief is not complicit, the local authority is not complicit, the police are not complicit, it will be very difficult for the illegal miners to do what they are doing. So they have a chief who understands his position, who understands that if our ancestors had been as wicked as we are and had done what we're doing, we won't have any forests left. So he has been at the forefront with one father, JB, and others. And they have managed to protect their rainforest from the illegal criminals. So these are things that I think we should look at, that we have to strengthen communities. They shouldn't feel that because they are not blue water guards, they cannot protect their communities. And they need to have a number they can call as soon as they see excavators moving into the area. We have the example of Yarkrom, where the community said we do not want mining, and they managed to resist thanks to the support of the duty bearers. And thank you, Ken, you also intervened. And for now, they have left. But I need to go back to this issuing of licenses, because sometimes one wonders how they are even issued. So we need to re-examine the licenses. And if we really want to fight illegal mining, we need to entrench in the cooperative mining scheme the right of the community to reject mining if they don't want it, if they would rather farm than have mining in their community. Because just imagine being there and you've got a cocoa farm and somebody comes brandishing a license that I'm coming to mine there. You know, it's not the best. Yeah. And I think I need to reiterate that 2.5 million peasant farmers are at the risk of losing their livelihood. So the fight has to encompass what has already been said. Yes.
Ola, thank you. Thank you very much. We'll come back to you. Again, you're still watching The Point of View, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, I'll take final thoughts of my guest, and then we'll wrap up.
Looking for a one-stop shopping destination for all things made in Ghana? Eager to experience a remarkable fair that showcases the richness, creativity, and innovation behind Ghanaian products and services? Then get ready for the This is Ghana Exhibition 2025. The This is Ghana Exhibition highlights the brilliance of Ghanaian entrepreneurs, artisans, and businesses who continue to shape the narrative of homegrown excellence. This is Ghana's biggest trade fair and exhibition, bringing together SMEs, startups, research and manufacturing sectors, indigenous corporate bodies, and local creatives in one exciting space. The This is Ghana Exhibition 2025. Come explore, engage, and be inspired by the businesses and brands that are redefining made in Ghana across every sector. The dates: Saturday the 6th and Sunday the 7th of September 2025. Time is 10 a.m. through till 5 p.m. each day. The venue is the Info Sutherland Children's Park. For enquiries or participation details, call us on 0205 973 973. The This is Ghana Exhibition 2025 is powered by Channel 1 TV and 97.3 City FM and is proudly sponsored by MTN, EcoBank, and Side Hassle from EK Brand Consult.
You're welcome back. You're still watching The Point of View, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. We've been discussing Galamsey or illegal mining, or as Kenashigbe Doc will say it, environmental crime being perpetrated by environmental criminals, and we need to deal with this matter decisively. Doc, we are about wrapping up. Your final thoughts. How do we deal with this issue decisively so we don't come back on this table and have this same conversation again?
Well, I think I agree with Alaji when he talks about the fact that Galamsey is a wicked problem. And so it's multifaceted. We need to deal with all the components. So that's various things that we need to do. But you see, Awala has just said it. We talk about 2.2 million to 3 million Galamsey, and they throw those numbers out. Yeah. But if you count the number of peasant farmers, Awala has said 2 million. Yeah. If you count the number of fisher folks fisher folks that have lost their livelihoods. Currently, it's not only the inland waters. Even now, the artisanal fishers who would take what we can fancy, they'll say, chui, the one they would take the boat to just go and bring the draw, and they all have lost their livelihood. So when you put all of that together, and now you look at the cost on all of us. So we should not buy that hype of, and in most of the places where this Galamsey is happening, is the place that is the most fertile land. If you take, for example, the issues of coconut, if you planted an acre of coconut, you will get $4,000 per annum. If you get Galamsey with the high price of Galamsey and you have a good, the grade is good, maybe $6,000, in the year, and it's gone. So we need to be very decisive. So beyond the points that have been made, we need to also ensure that we are holding ourselves. And we, the middle class, our docility is led to all of this thing, and it's the middle class that are complicit in this. And so for me, whatever move we're going to do should go at the root cause. So we should do a root cause. And I agree with His Excellency in October last year when they said it's the kingpins. So we should start off by dealing with these kingpins who are involved in it. And again, if you look at the responsible cooperative mining scheme that have been put, it's a good one. Fortunately, the ministry is reaching out to various stakeholders, including the large-scale mines. We are prepared to work together so that we can get a model that has, this, being done, but being done very responsibly. One of the major things that needs to be done with this one, so that we don't get the failure we had, is that we need to get the registration properly done, so that we don't get, and again, that's what happened to community mine. The politicians themselves took over it. But definitely in this phase, we need to be brutal in dealing and incisive in dealing with this thing.
Okay. I do not wish we come back to discuss this matter.
Yeah, it is my wish to, because guess what? For a very long time now, we've even concentrated on only one side of what we need to do as a people. At Forestry Commission, for instance, Act 571 of 1999, stipulates clearly that our mandate is to protect and sustainably manage forest resources. Yeah. And this is not only about the water body, but about the forest itself, the timber, and the resources therein. But here we are always focused on only one, which is a major problem. The reason I've had to raise this is because today, for instance, also, in as much as we are worrying about some of these concerns, the Forestry Commission Ghana happens to be the first from today to sign on to what we call FLECT, Forest Law Enforcement, Governance and Trade. Okay. This is only aimed at ensuring that we reduce illegal logging, which is another burden we need to be looking at. And the second in the world, second to Indonesia. And so even though we are chalking some successes here, which I must commend our sector minister for championing this for the president, there are still a lot of things we need to do. But this is another feather in our cap. But we need to look at the holistic problem, which is affecting the progress that we are making as a people. Alaj,
I come back to you for your final thought. You've been a minister of lands and natural resources before. How do we deal with this issue decisively, so at least we have a restoration of our forest reserve and our water bodies?
Can you come again? Your line was very bad.
I'm saying that you've been a minister of natural resources and lands before. How do we deal with this issue of illegal mining or environmental crimes decisively so we don't come back to have these same conversations over and over and over again?
Well, I think that, first of all, I need to commend the minister. It appears to me that so far all the actions he's taken appear to be directed towards dealing with this canker. So he needs to be encouraged to continue and to keep his eyes on the ball. The president, acting through the Attorney General's office, has also demonstrated what we have all feared, that big high-ups who are engaged in this menace will have no place to hide. And I think that we need to encourage that. Because greed is what is driving the pollution.
Yeah.
Our ancestors, and Awula has said it, never mined in water bodies, even though they knew that there was gold in water bodies. The Itiwa forest, I always use that as an example, has educated a lot of Ghanaians. Because families have depended on the Itiwa forest, harvesting wild snails, selling those snails to educate their children. Itiwa serves as a catchment area for 3 water bodies in this country. But look at what we are doing. We are trying very hard to damage Itiwa. When you do natural resource accounting, and Ewula is perfectly right, these days, no fishing goes on in our water bodies because those water bodies can no longer sustain life. They are dead. So those who were depending on those water bodies for their livelihood have now joined the poverty bang wagon. Farmers who used to fetch water from the streams and move to their farms can no longer drink those waters. In fact, it has even emerged that they cannot use those waters to dilute chemicals to spray their cocoa fields.
Alaj, we need to wrap up. So let me take a final word from Awula Sewa, and then we'll call it a wrap. Ala, you've heard Alaji, you've heard Elikem, you've heard Doc. How do we deal with this issue?
First of all, I agree with everything that has been said, and I'll just add that it's being driven by greed, and excuse me to say stupidity, because we are poisoning ourselves. But let me just quickly say that we need to in addition to everything that has been said, we need to resource communities to join the fight, not intimidate them. So I'm using this platform to call on the Attorney General to drop charges against the Adronsu 5. They are facing criminal charges for trying to save their environment from the illegal, shall I say, the environmental criminals who are poisoning their river body, the Adronso stream. So let's resource communities and let them be partners in the fight against environmental criminality, environmental terrorism. Let's not criminalize the community, because the illegal mining is going on, because we all know both sides of the political divide, there are persons involved. Let's draw a line over this, prosecute all those who we know were involved in illegal mining, and let's protect our communities before we all die from being poisoned. Because even those outside, once they consume food from Ghana, they might also be consuming poisoned food.
Yeah.
Because recently, some tubers taken to the US were found to be compromised.
Yeah. All right, thank you very much. I will ask Sewa, coordinator of Eco Conscious Citizen. Also on Zoom was Alhaji Inusaf Hussaini, a former MP and former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. In studio, Alekem Kotoko, Deputy CEO of Forestry Commission, and Dr. Ken Ashigbe, convener of the Ghana Coalition Against Illegal Mining. Alekem, we've closed.
My Kotoko is spelled K-O-T-O-K-O. There's a U at the end. It's not Kotoku. That's what I see on the screen.
Thank you for that correction.
Yes.
It's been another exciting edition of The Point of View that came to you live from our studio here in Accra. My name is Sami Wiafe, sitting for your regular host, Bernard Kokuable. So we come away another time. May the good Lord be with us all.